Hey there everyone, John here with Certified On Demand, and I want to show you a couple of my favorite features of the Spring 18 release. And just my quick bio here, I've got several Salesforce certifications. I've also been involved in the ecosystem now for over 10 years. And I'm a co-leader of the Cleveland user group as well as the founder of Certified On Demand. So that's me. Let's jump into Spring 18. So there's a lot of new things going on with Lightning Experience in the spring release. Themes is a really awesome one. We're going to jump into this in the app in just a second here. We've also got some changes to things like personalization and just different types of user experience things that have been improved inside of Lightning Experience. And we're going to jump into these each here in just a second. There have also been a number of other smaller changes that we'll look at as well. So let's jump in and talk about theming to start with. And what I've done is I've pulled up a chatter group that's completely unbranded. But what you'll see here is that a few things have changed. One, we have a logo in the top left. Two, we have this background image that's been applied to my chatter group. And three, we have the icon or the logo for the chatter group that has been established by default as well. And if we were to go into, let's say, an opportunity record, we also have the ability to control the background as well as the color scheme below this immediate header level background. We also see, as you can I'll zoom in a little bit here, you can see that the actual color scheme has been changed as well. So opportunities here has this sort of green overlay to it to match the branding that's set up on the theme. So a lot of great things that you can do with themes, and just to take a quick peek at the back end, let's look at themes and branding inside of setup, and let's modify the theme that I've created. Now within this theme, as I mentioned before, what we can do is we can define the image or the logo for that particular app, the brand color, which is going to drive a number of these different components like the hover colors and things like that. We can also go in and define both the page background and the global header background colors. And if I scroll down here, we'll also see the page backgrounds, the banner backgrounds, and the user profile backgrounds, as well as the avatars that have all been configured. Now, to get the most out of branding, you're probably going to want a graphic artist involved. That's why mine maybe doesn't look all that great, because I just kind of put it together myself. But even if you don't have a graphic artist, I think with a little bit of exploration, you could get it to look pretty good. And it really does open up a lot of possibilities for you. And there are just lots of little things that change as a result of the branding. Even inside of setup, the setup menus have changed. So it's pretty cool that with a few clicks, you can really kind of drive the overall experience that's much more tailored to your company's brand. So that's themes in a nutshell. And what I'm going to do here is switch back into sales, because the next thing that I want to do is I want to take a look at the personalization component. And I'm going to pull up an opportunity record. And as you can see by my opportunity title, this is my biggest, most important deal ever. So what I might want to do is actually pin this deal. And so let's look at this menu here. And you're going to see down here that we have, underneath the opportunity menu, the ability to open this in a new tab. And so if we open this in a new tab, you'll see that we, of course, now have this at the top of our list of tabs. The interesting thing about this is that I can now actually add this to my nav bar. And this is now permanently linked on my nav bar. So if I go back into opportunities, I can just click the hot link here for my biggest, most important deal, and I'm right back on that specific record. The same thing would actually apply for list views as well. So I could go into my list view here, open this in a new tab, and also add that list view itself to my navigation bar. Now, of course, this is going to make my more menu get longer and longer, but what I can also do is I can customize this by going into the edit menu, and we'll scroll down here and let's find my biggest important deal ever, and we're just going to rename this. And we're also going to rename my opportunities. And maybe we just want to shorten that one. And we can save this now. We could also go back and personalize this and modify the list that they're displayed in. So if I want my super important opportunity all the way at the top here, I can go ahead and make that change. And there's my opportunity right here. So personalization is pretty awesome. In order to use personalization, though, you have to be in a Lightning application. It's got to be Lightning enabled. So your classic apps that are opened in Lightning are not going to work. Now, next I want to go into an account, and we're going to pull up United Gas. And this particular account has a series of different child accounts underneath it. But what has happened in this latest release is that there's an icon that we can use to actually traverse that hierarchy. So if I click into this account hierarchy icon, I can see that I'm in the parent account of the overall hierarchy and that I have 2 child accounts underneath. And if I were to click into that child account, we could click into the details section here. And what you would see is that my parent account is in fact the first account that we viewed, that United Oil and Gas Corp. And of course, once again, if we click into the hierarchy view, we would see that we're now on the lower child record within this hierarchy. Now, the same thing is true for contacts. So if I click into Avi here, let's go in and view the contact hierarchy for Avi. And Avi reports to Arthur. And so if we click back into Avi, let's go into details. You can see that we have reports to Arthur. So that's what's driving this contact hierarchy within a contact record. And let's jump over into a campaign record. And the first thing that you're going to see here is that we now have a path created for this campaign. And so just like you might on an opportunity, we can go in and create or establish the relevant fields as well as the guidance based on fields within our campaign. And so paths have been expanded out in the Lightning experience to not only allow for additional objects such as campaigns and cases, but have also given you some additional ability to use fields such as maybe another pick list on the opportunity where you were previously limited to only using stage. So paths is a nice one that's been improved. Another thing that you're going to see is if we dig into this related list, and let's say that we have our campaign members right here. Previously, if I were to go in to add leads or add contacts, what would have happened is that Lightning Experience would have redirected me to a list view. And now what I can do is I can add these leads or contacts directly from within the campaign, choose the status, and submit it, and I now never leave the campaign page at all. And so it's a much better user experience overall than the previous method of going from the campaign to a lead list view and then having to redirect or find that campaign again by yourself manually. So it's just a little bit cleaner of an experience. One other thing to look at, we're just going to run a quick search here for United as an example. And we've got a series of different account records that have come up underneath United. But if we click into the accounts themselves, you'll see here that we now have the ability to refine our search results. So we have search filters that are now available for the account object. And from my understanding, it's not really available on other objects just yet, but I suspect that this is the precursor to search filters being enabled on additional objects in future releases, which I'm super excited about. More features and more things. We now have the ability to not create opportunities on lead conversion. So what we can do is hide the overall ability to do that creation at all, or we can simply set this as not a default. So by default, we're not going to create an opportunity, but we can still give the users the option to do that. There's also a URL format change that's coming, and this is automatically going to get turned on in the summer release, and you'll be able to see that if you go check your critical updates inside of setup. And as you can see with it disabled, the URL will follow this sort of format here of 1/1.app, then s object. And the new format includes Lightning, /r/opportunity, then the ID/view. So this is a little bit different than what you would see in Classic, but when you go ahead and turn this on, you're going to get the lower version of the URL. And if you have this turned off, you're going to get the upper version of the URL. Okay, so a few other things to be aware of. We looked at these first two with path additional support as well as the new experience for campaign members. From a branding standpoint, Force.com is now going to be called the Lightning Platform. Not a huge shock in terms of a branding update, but definitely something to be aware of. We also have some improvements to the Lightning Report Builder, which now supports summary formulas. And there are a few other neat features, such as the ability to run duplicate jobs. And from my understanding, this is currently limited to performance and unlimited editions, but hopefully at some point this will trickle down into other editions. And this is really the duplicate jobs that allow you to, run cleansing or any sort of data quality, merging duplicate records, things of that nature. And then finally, there's now an ability to create leads from LinkedIn. So that's a neat feature. I haven't explored it in too much detail, but again, something to consider if you do a lot of lead sourcing from LinkedIn. There's a more streamlined way to do it now. So those are my top features. I would highly encourage you to check out the release videos from Salesforce, read through the release notes. There's a lot more that's been addressed in the release that I haven't discussed at all, including things like Einstein. What I'm really trying to do is focus on the core features of the platform that are going to be most relevant for the vast majority of the admins. So thanks for watching. Until next time.